setup. There we go. I said I need the audio here, getting used to the new setup. What's happening, everyone? Nick Taylor here, and super excited for today's episode, talking about one of my new favorite things, JamKazam. It allows you to play music over the internet with the Ethernet cable connected from your computer up to your router. So super excited to talk about that, and I have a couple of friends to help me demonstrate it with you. Also, really quick, we're going to talk about an overview before we bring them in. We're going to talk about, some different settings that will help you really dial this in nicely so you can have good sounds and not poppy and crackly noises in the session. There's a little bit of a learning curve to it, but the interface itself actually does a pretty good job of, handling everything itself. So Colton is joining us from downstairs in Bellingham. He's playing on David Stone's B3 Hammond organ. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in. He's also, what I was trying to think, he's also in one of the student rock bands here in Bellingham, and also you ended up getting like 4th or 5th or maybe 3rd in that Bellingham's Got Talent at the Mount Baker Theater.
Yeah, I was 3rd.
Yeah, nice job.
Yeah, thanks.
And I forget, what song did you play?
I played Creep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, so we have Dylan Daugherty here of OSO, an IT specialist. How you doing, man?
Hey, great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Let's so before we jump into it, what I discovered on Zoom, because I've tried to do this on Zoom or Skype or FaceTime, I'm like, are we actually really in time? Because I've tried to clap with people, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're actually clapping together, but it wasn't the case. And then I'm like, okay, let's count. And if we were counting on a steady beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, on the other end, they can count with me and it'll sound in time. But for me, if I'm leading it and they count back to me, they would either be, off in between the beat, or they would be saying 4 when I'm saying 1. So this is the ultimate test. So we just want to make sure everyone knows that we're actually doing it in JamKazam. So let's do that little test here quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Sweet. Cool. So let's do a little jam. Let's kick it off here. Dylan, I'm going to make the screen big so everyone can see us better. Those keys. Dylan. time. All right.
Awesome.
Nice, guys. Yeah,
sounding
so
good.
Yeah.
yeah, so the JamKazam does a good job of keeping the audio in time, but if anyone can let us know if it's in sync. It has a special feature where you can do a broadcast and set the delay, and I do have a delay compensation set on my OBS to try to match that, but I'm not. This is like one of the first times we tried it, so we're about to find out if it's working. Like I said before, I'm not the JamKazam expert, but I just am excited to show everyone what I know and ask people questions at the same time of the things that I don't know. So how is this possible? So what I've read and understand is these guys have figured out a way to send audio data very frequently and in small bytes called audio packets. And if I'm going to just take the the video down a second, if I just make sure everyone can see, go up to my audio booster on here, it'll show me all my audio packets. So it's doing 400 packets per second. And for some reason my bitrate got auto throttled, so I'm going to take that off. You want to keep these unchecked. We're going to go over that a little bit later. But I just thought I'd talk about that really quick. So yeah, that's about it. And obviously you need the Ethernet connection. Over Wi-Fi it's not going to work. It's just not stable enough. So just some basics you need. Of course, a computer probably within the last couple years or 3 or 4. I don't know, Dylan, what do you think as far as computer that could handle this?
I think it's fairly a low resource program, but it's really going to depend on your interface and your interface requirements too as well. So as long as your computer and your interface are compatible, JamKazam should be able to run on it.
Yep. Right on, yep. So I guess what I've heard is Windows 7 or Mountain Lion 10.8 for Mac. You need headphones. You need a microphone. You can actually use your built-in microphone, but it kind of acts more like a condenser, so it gets really noisy, and it can, if you have an amp in the room like I do, you'll hear a lot more sound versus if you have a dynamic like this. So best just to have a separate microphone into one of the inputs on your interface, and then your guitar or whatever into the other. Or if you wanted to set up a mixer, you can run a stereo out of the mixer into inputs 1 and 2 of your interface, and that's what JamKazam will use. Obviously the audio interface, and then make sure your computer has an Ethernet adapter so you can run that cable from your computer to the router. Let's see here. I think that is about it as far as Dylan and Colton for now. So I'm going to show you guys how to get this thing set up and invite you guys back here in probably 10 minutes or so. So I'm going to have to leave the session.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you in a bit.
Awesome.
Sounds good. The first time when you open up JamKazam, it's going to prompt you to do what I'm about to do. But if you want to edit any of your audio gear stuff, you can go for that under this little arrow in the audio gear. So I'm going to delete that. I'll show you guys how to set up your interface, since that's the first thing you're going to have to do. Rescan. All right, so add new gear. We're not going to watch the video. We're making a video. Let's see. So here's your audio input. We're just going to do the Orion Studio. And just before we do that, you can actually, I've tested it out, but I'm not going to do it now because it caused some issues when I tried to switch back to my Orion Studio. But you can use your built-in microphone input on your laptop for a Mac. I think on Windows it will show up as like WDM or ASIO, which ASIO works better. So you can use that as an interface, and it actually works if you have a new enough computer. So, but we're going to use the Orion Studio. That's what I'm using today. And it's actually going to start doing a test right away. And since I don't have the output, I might get yellow. We'll find out in a second. Oh, it showed up as green. Yesterday it was showing up as yellow for some reason. Just try it again. Let's do the Orion Studio. So, yeah, now it showed up as yellow. Strange. Anyway, so we're just going to pick the inputs, and what it was doing, it was testing the latency. And for those of you don't know what latency is, it's just the time that your computer and your audio interface work together. They need to take the audio out of the microphone, digitize it, and send it to the headphones, and then send it out elsewhere too. So anyway, we're going to set up the inputs. One question I have for JamKazamers or anyone out there that's used this is that I have all these things checked, and I wonder if I added them into a session, I would have all of these inputs, and I wonder if that would affect my processing and my latency. But I know that I'm only using 12, 9, and 10, so I'm going to set those up really quick. 16, 15, 14, 13. So there's 12, take off 11, 10, 9. I'm going to uncheck the rest of these. If you just have a 2-channel interface, this part will be easy for you. And yeah, the out one too. And just use match for your sample rate. It does a good job of automatically matching your sample rate. So let's hit next. All right, so this is where we can actually name our channels. So I know that I am using number 9. And that's going to be my base. So we'll hit close. I haven't tried these effects. If anyone has tried those out, let me know how they work. Same with the audio plugins. So I'm going to add a new track, and I'm going to add my voice so everyone can hear me. And I know that it's in channel 12, and that is going to be voice. For some reason, let's see, I guess we can do my guitar too. And let's see, let's do one more. Let's do number 10. And that's going to be guitar. All right, so we have our 3 inputs selected. We're going to go to next. We already did this. Hit play. Make sure we're sounding okay. There it is. So one thing quick, if your tests failed, there is an option on there when you start up your settings or your JamKazam. It'll say settings, and it'll talk about port forwarding on your router. And when we bring Dylan back here, he's going to talk a little bit about the port forwarding. So he's the network IT guy, so he's going to be helpful in that way. So make sure that this says active. This is our Orion Studio that we're using. So we are good to go. I'm just going to give you guys a quick little tour of this. So the home button is handy. Let's see, make sure everyone can see it okay. Yep. Create session. We'll save that one for last here. We'll invite those guys back in. Find session. So this thing reminds me of when I was like 9 or 10 and being in chat rooms. So there's people out here in these jam rooms that are, just waiting for people to jam with, play music with, and they name them. It reminds me of like football chat or hockey chat or, whatever chat room name you want to think of, it was there, right? So you have all the different genres, and you can just join these sessions. Some of them are join at will, or some of them they make you You have to be approved to enter, and you can hover over people's names, and it'll say, your latency to Martin is unknown, which that's another question I have. I don't understand that totally, because whenever I hover over Dylan, who we were just jamming with, he shows up as poor to me, and we're just fine. So I don't understand that. Yeah, so let's see. You can find the open jams, or for me, if there's a current one, which there's not, and then upcoming jams. You can also log on, like if you're a fan, you can join JamKazam as a fan, and you can look at upcoming jams and RSVP to like watch them and stuff, or listen. Let me talk about this quick. You can search for musicians in different items. I think it's just musicians. There's my friend list, and then there's a chat feature on the right side. And so the notifications, that kind of threw me for a second, because I would always see kind of right down on the bottom if anyone ever joined, or they logged on, or they invited me to a session, they would pop up, and then I missed it one time, and I'm like, where'd it go? Because I couldn't find it, because it was selected like this, and it was just hidden down here. So that's kind of handy to know. If you're invited to a session and you missed it, you can click here and then go back into the session, or talk to them. Jam tracks, looks like I've never used it. Looks like you can buy or just use jam tracks provided by JamKazamers. So the musicians tab, that's just an extra, like a more refined search for looking for musicians. You can search by latency, you can search by distance, you can search by genre, experience level. So if you hit search up here, there is where you can do all that stuff. Pretty handy. I've never done it yet. I've always just been trying to get people. It's hard enough to find people to do this, so hopefully you guys can use this video to figure that out. So let's go back and get some more people. I'm trying to do Thursday night JamKazam broadcasts eventually, if I can find enough people. I need a drummer. Bands, kind of the same, similar thing. Actually, I've never used this, but you can join a JamKazam band on here, and you search for like bands, like a band to hire, which is interesting. I imagine it's hire in person, but being we can't play gigs right now, that'd be an interesting thing to ask the JamKazam crew. Profile. So here's where you can edit your profile. I feel like it's important to, keep it nice and thorough. If people are trying to figure out if this person, if you have good latency, because they can see you, and then they want to figure out, if you try to join a session and they don't know you, they can pull up all this information and see what you play and what your level is and all that stuff. And this is cool. It tells you all the sessions that you've been a part of. Bands you're in. I haven't used this before. It's just info about your friends and stuff. So let me get back. We're almost there. Getting Dylan and Colton back. So here is the account. And so this has all the same settings as this down arrow right here, for the most part. And one thing you want to do before you get into a session is update your video gear. So you can test your webcam. I mean, I have it, if I were to pick here, let me turn it on first. So there's my webcam, and if I wanted to switch it to my FaceTime, there's that pretty looking one. This one actually right now, my Blackmagic, I have this video switcher, and I'm running actually my GoPro Hero 7 through it, and I think it looks pretty good. This is your default capture resolution. So today I noticed my CPU, because this whole program has a CPU CPU analyzer as it plays, and it was up around 80, so we tried to turn it down to 352 by 288 or 640 by 480, and it didn't really help too much. I think it's probably because I'm running OBS and my software mixer and the switcher software, and I'm streaming it at the same time, so I'm just happy we're still going right now. So let's create a session and get those guys back in here. So quick start solo. That's just mainly for testing your gear. You guys saw me do that when I was having an issue there. And then the quick start open, that will let people join your session at will. So when I was going to all those sessions, like when I was talking about them being like chat rooms in the 90s, I was there, popping up there, and I had, 2 or 3 people right away, and then all of a sudden 4 or 5, 6 and 7, and it crashed my whole computer. So you got to be careful about using that. So quick start friends, that's what I like to do. That's what we're going to use today. You can, let people set the security so people can enter with permission. So, and same with starter schedule, but obviously we're not doing a scheduled one. So we're just going to go into the start with friends, and we're going to wait for it to pop back up. I'm going to turn my speakers back on. You can hear it changed. Now we're listening to JamKazam. All right, so I'm going to invite Colton and Dylan back. Let's see how long it takes them to get in here. Let's just talk about all these settings really quick, and then we'll play some more for y'all. Let's see if there's any questions. Nothing at the moment. So, the settings, this is interesting. So it's nice to be able to name your session, what kind of stuff we're going to be doing. It's just a private session right now, so I'm not going to worry about it, but it's a good way to communicate to all the people that you're trying to get to join your session, if you want to do that.
Looks like we have a question from Nate. He's asking if we're plugged in with an amp.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for monitoring the chat. I have enough going on here. So I am plugged directly into my interface. Well, I'm plugged into my amp, my bass amp, and then I have a DI XLR out the back going into my interface. My guitar is mic'd up. How about you?
Yeah, so that's one interesting thing about JamKazam is that there's kind of endless possibilities on your personal setup. So my setup's very different in practice than Nick's here. I basically have a 4-channel mixer that you typically use for a live setting with faders and a full EQ stack, and I'm running my guitar stereo directly into that with no amplification. So what you're hearing on my side is actually just my guitar and through my effect pedals directly into the mixer, and then on a separate channel I'm using this large diaphragm condenser mic for vocals with a little pop filter, and then that's just going directly to my computer. I'm not sure if you covered the monitoring either. So we monitor.
Yeah, not yet, but yeah, we'll get. Yeah. But yeah, you can go for it.
Yeah, well, I'll just preface that rather than listening to the actual sound directly from my mixer, I have that muted, and I'm only hearing what's coming through my USB connection from my PC to my interface, and that helps keeps everything, at a mastered level.
Yep, for sure. Yep. So what he's talking about here, as a visual for everyone, this is my software mixer. So if I turn this on, you can hear. He can't hear the change, but we all can because it's on my end. That's my direct monitoring. So that's definitely something to, like he said, you got to get it all muted. And if your latency is bugging you after you get it all muted, you can actually, just hold on, don't unmute it yet, but get in your session and get the level set, and then you can unmute it so you can hear yourself a little better and a little quicker. So yeah, that's about it on that. Let me get back to this. We'll close this out. So right now I have it on musicians may join by approval. So I'll update those settings. Cool. So let's talk about all these blinky circles and stuff really quick. And then we'll get into the mixer or all these settings. So you can see if you hover over, so this is me over here, this is my 3 tracks. And then this is Dylan over here. And so I can see what my latency is. If I can, there we go. So, and my processor is up there. That's the computer's processor. Like I was saying earlier, I'm running 5 or 6 different pretty intensive things. So, you know, this has been bouncing around pretty crazily, but it's holding steady. So glad it's working. And then obviously the audio interface latency. That doesn't have anything to do with the internet. That is just the latency between the computer and the interface there. The input jitter and output jitter, that has to do with it's just another something to do with the latency. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but from what they recommend is that it just stays green or yellow and you'll be fine. Obviously the lower milliseconds help. And just quick to go back to the audio booster, we pulled that up really quickly earlier, but if you go up to manage and go to your audio settings in the audio booster, here is where you can switch your auto throttle. So I'm going to undo that. It just helps it run a lot more stable from what I've experienced using it and then talking to other people on JamKazam. You want to uncheck the auto throttle bitrate and also the packet bitrate. And before you actually uncheck them, JamKazam should do a good job of picking the setting that works best for your computer. And then here's your audio frame size. It's, like I said, it picks it automatically. The 2.5 is working well for me. You can experiment around if you want higher quality audio, but it'll increase your milliseconds. And then if you want to get, you know, if you're bogged down, you can try to go down lower to try to get your CPU to free up a little bit. So, oh, looks like Colton made it back.
Excellent. Hey,
Colton,
welcome back,
you made it
Hey.
back, man.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get invited, and I figured, oh, it's been a while.
For sure. So how'd you find us then?
I realized it had been a good amount of time, so I clicked find session.
Yep.
And then I saw you guys in the session, and I figured maybe it was going to work, and it did.
Sweet.
There
Yeah, welcome back.
Excellent.
I don't know how long you guys have been here without me, but it's fine.
Oh yeah, it's fine. I was like, he'll make it back in
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah, we got to answer a question from the chat and stuff. So
Fantastic.
So let's check this out. So we are getting into. So yeah, we talked about that. So the other thing you can do. So this is kind of the important part when you're trying to figure out if you're going to be able to actually jam with someone or if you're having problems with staying together in time with them, is that you hover over someone else, their little dot, and you know, so they only have one channel, and you know, if they were to have 3 or 4 like me, it would still only show up as one. So on the very top, that's the total latency between, well, Nick Taylor, but that's my other account, so that's Colton. So my latency to Colton is only 5 milliseconds. And that has to do with the computer plus the internet. We're in the same building, so we are smoking fast right now. So that's his computer. I can see his processor. His interface latency is better than mine. It's an older Behringer USB 2.0, and mine's a Thunderbolt. So I'm curious why that is. I mean, I could go into my settings and dial that back, I'm sure, but he's all green, so that's looking great. Yeah, latency internet is 0 milliseconds. That's crazy. I've never seen that before.
yeah, that's to be
packet.
expected since you're in the same building for sure.
Yeah, on the same router. Oh, I forgot to ask you about the port forwarding, because this is all green. We'll check yours out next, but Can you give us just a quick little tidbit about the port forwarding? Because I know if you're having issues and you have all your stuff set up right, you can actually, it recommends you to check this box, and you can set the port that it's just staying on that one port, and that makes it more stable, or how does that all work?
So port forwarding is an application of the network address translation. And what that means in English is that it's really a function that your home router has that you can turn on if you're having an issue reaching out to like a service outside of your home network, for example, JamKazam over the internet. And so you kind of assign a port number and make a prior agreement that any data that's coming from a JamKazam app is going to be assigned to a certain port number, and that means your router's expecting traffic on that port, and when traffic reaches that port, it's going to tell it exactly where to go. So, for example, on your home router, you might have your phone or a laptop or another computer, and if the JamKazam traffic's arriving and it's not sure which device it needs to go to, if you have port forwarding set up, the data is going to get to your router and say, oh, I need to go to, Nick's really powerful computer that's running all this audio stuff. That's where I'm headed. And it makes a direct route to there, so you get faster speeds or maybe clear up any issues with connectivity.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Cool. So let me move this. Give me just a second. I forgot to mention, these are a lot of work we're putting into these little productions. So if anyone wants to throw us a tip, that'd be much appreciated. You can do that. I have a Good Karma link or the Venmo and PayPal stuff listed on the Facebook posts and in the event. So let's get back to, I'm going to make you smaller there. So let's check out Dylan's. So Dylan is showing up his latency as 34. We were talking earlier that around 30 is kind of what you need to be comfortable. I feel like we've been bouncing around a little higher than 30 at times, and we were still able to keep in time.
Mm-hmm.
So, see, it's bouncing up to 38. And JamKazam knows when it gets red, it's not going to be working that well. Here's his processor and all that stuff again. Our internet latency is 12. His audio interface latency is 7.9. That we're not getting any packet loss. That's a really big one right there. So yeah, we're overall, he's bouncing from red to yellow. So hopefully we're going to be able to keep jamming. It was working a little better earlier. We were getting like 19 earlier versus 30 some now.
Yeah, I'm seeing 30 for latency. It's jumping around from 17, 20 to 30.
Yeah.
And kind of jumping around. Before, we're getting that 19, which is really, really quick.
Yep. Cool. So let me go over this stuff really quick. The volume. So this is a master volume. And when I move this, it goes down and up. They don't hear that. So this is just for me. And they have their own too. That chat, we aren't using the chat volume. So the share, I don't exactly know how this works because the link, I've tried to paste the link and it doesn't do anything. It just says chat is offline. So that's a question I have for people. We have record. You can record the session. I haven't tried that yet since I'm always recording onto OBS. Let me pull that up one more time. So it looks like you can record the audio and video. So that's pretty cool. Have any of you guys ever tried that yet?
I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah. I guess this is your first time, Colton, so of course you haven't. What do you think about it being your first time you've ever done it?
It's cool. It's definitely cool. It's I expect this to be a lot better than something like FaceTime or Zoom. I've never jammed over an online program before, and it's working out pretty well. So
yeah.
I'm pretty impressed.
Were you surprised when we were kind of setting up and practicing before the stream that everything was in time and it was just kind of we're all in the same room?
Yeah, because I know like even over like FaceTime, you'll have sometimes a second of delay if you're in a bad reception area. So I wasn't expecting it to be less than 10 milliseconds for each of us. So
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's cool.
Sweet. Sweet. So files, the files tab, I have never used it. It looks like you can send like lyric files or whatever other files you want to send. Who knows? So the mixer, this is kind of an important one. We'll get to that in a second. Resync. So if you have kind of issues going on, you could try to hit resync, and it'll help get things lined back up, your computer and your interface, and get the latency. I guess it helps the latency. I've done it a couple times with success, and then a couple times where I feel like it didn't do anything. How about you, Dylan? Have you messed with that at all?
Not too much. I've mostly just messed with the levels and creating and joining sessions.
Yeah. Cool. So let's talk about the mixing here. So this is kind of assuming that you have muted your direct monitoring from your interface or your mixer, and we're only listening to JamKazam, which is the processed audio. You can barely even tell mine because the latency is so low. So each one of these, this is me, obviously, and when I change this, check. Oh, that's not my vocal here. Check. Third time's a charm. I'm just trying to scatterbrain here. So that doesn't change for them. So this is kind of the your own little monitor mix. If I go to them, same thing. I can turn them up and down, and it won't affect them. So sometimes though, maybe like Dylan's guitar would sound okay, but his drum machine would be too quiet. And in that case, I would have to ask him to go to his interface and turn up, adjust it on his preamps there, however he, works his magic on his end. So, so if you want to dial in a mix for everyone, sometimes you need to get into this mixer here. And you'll just notice I got a lot quieter because the audio is a bit different. So let me turn my voice back up. Check, just for a second. I'll turn it back down because you guys might have it set a certain way. So whatever you do here is global and it's stuck. So you can actually set, when you go into the settings up here, you can set it for only one person to be able to do this mixer, which I think is a good idea. I feel like if we had a bunch of people editing that, it would just be chaos, especially with like 3 or 4 people in it. If anyone has had positive experiences with it too, I'd like to know. But we've always just kind of been doing one person, just to kind of, one person will set the level and then everyone else will set their monitors, and then we'll go from there. So, and you can do main volumes, and you can do actually panning. Check. We were trying this earlier, but it wasn't doing anything. Is that actually panning for you guys or not? Check.
No, not at all.
My
Okay.
thinking is it might be like that mix thing where you can mix your own side of things. You can maybe also pan your own side of things.
Right, yeah, you definitely can pan your own side of things. And I think that was working for me when I tried it, but the master mix, I don't know why it's not doing that. But yeah, that's a good thought though.
Yeah.
And then here we have the master output. Obviously the master output, I think that is what that is what we are listening to right now for the feed. So, and we aren't using the chat, so let's go out of here. And I guess, let me see if there's any other questions, and we can finish this off with the jam.
Yeah, before we move on to the music, it might be a good time to remind viewers that we've got a big live stream coming up on the 31st as well with my band Oso. Nick Taylor's going to be hosting that at the School of Music, and really appreciate that. So if you want to stay tuned, make sure to like and subscribe for notifications to the Bellingham School of Music on Facebook group.
Yeah.
And
Thanks, man.
you can see their event pages and hopefully tune in for my band too. It'd be great to see you there.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Colton has one coming up too. You want to talk
I
about
do.
yours?
Yeah, so that one's a week from now, right? On the 24th, or is it? No, it's the 23rd, right? I'm
Week
right?
no week from today,
A week from-
24th
Yeah, so 24th.
at 5:30.
Yeah, 5:30 on the 24th with my band Cash and the Spare Change. My brother's name is Cash, and then with a spare change. So, it's gonna be me, 3 other guys. We got a bassist, Nick, and then we've got a guitarist, Ryan, and then Cash on the drums, and then me on the keys. Next week, 5:30. Save the date.
Sweet. Yeah, and you guys do originals plus some covers.
Yeah, we do. We've got. I think we're performing 4 of our originals, and then we've got a few covers. So. should be a good
Nice.
time.
Excellent. I know I'll be there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Sweet. Well, let me turn my video on. Oh, one quick thing, too. You can hit Command M. Let me click it. Wait, Command L.
Control L.
I think
Well,
it's,
I'm talking
I
Mac.
think it is L.
Yeah, it is L. Yep. So, yeah, that's weird. It just shifts the videos around.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see if I can make them all the same and get this. Wait.
Yeah, and to reiterate, that's Command L, cool keyboard shortcut for the Mac, or Control L on PC.
Yep. Thanks for that. Sweet. Well, I need to go into OBS and disable my other video so we can make ourselves large and finish off. We're just going to finish the show off with the jam.
Awesome.
And yeah, if anyone has any extra questions, we're just going to sign off after our jam. But thanks again for tuning in. This is going to be repostable after the fact. So if you know somebody that really wants to get going on this or they would like it, it'd be much appreciated to help spread the word about this and, trying to get more people to do it and join us. We're trying to do Thursday night jams and broadcast them. So we need a drummer, just any instrument. We're really loving it. It's super fun.
That's one thing I'll mention to you. If you are a drummer and you have an electronic drum kit, I think that would translate really well into JamKazam.
Yeah,
Awesome.
for sure. All right, so give me just a second. You could actually kick it off, Dylan, if you want,
Sure.
while I get everything all set up. Four more.
Oh.
That works too. Nice, guys.
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, thanks for the jam, guys. Sounded great.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Colton and Nick really enjoyed that.
Yeah, likewise, Dylan. That was awesome.
Yeah, super fun.
It was great having you guys, and thanks everyone for watching. I'm looking forward to doing more of these in the future. The next 2 are not going to be classes. They're going to be live stream shows up here in this room. I'm really liking up here. It's nice and cozy. And yeah, Cash and the Spare Change are next week, a week from today, and then Oso is coming up 2 weeks from today, right? Friday is yours, is Dylan.
Yeah, Friday, the July 31st, 7:30 p.m.
Yep.
And if you want to be notified, just make sure to, like and follow Bellingham School of Music.
Yeah.
Yep. Great, sweet. Well, let me get the outro music, and yeah, thanks for hanging out, everyone.
Thanks again, Nick.
And
Fantastic.
yeah, you
Thank
will.
you.
Yep, for sure. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Yep.